where we interview thought leaders, founders, and game changers across the Middle East to talk with some of the students and tell us about their experiences, share with us their insights, some of the challenges they faced, and their stories. So today we have with us the founder and CEO of Mr. Draper, Mr. Mahmoud Gao. He is an amazing personality. He's won a lot of awards. His startup has been through 500 startups. It's won the Shara Series A program, and they're up and running with amazing traction. And I'd love to give him the opportunity to introduce himself, his startup, and to tell us about his journey and his story and how it all began.
Sure. Well, thank you guys for having me. This is really cool. It's a great initiative, and I'm lucky to be number 20, I guess. Mr. Draper, basically, to give you guys some background, is a curated shopping service for busy people that either hate shopping or don't have the time to do it. We're currently launched the service for men. And the way it works is you create a profile on our website, you give us information about yourself, like your style, your sizes, budgets, sizes, etc. And you're automatically assigned a personal stylist who's going to use that information to create a box of outfits for you, send it to your house, and you have 5 days, you try everything on, what you like you keep, what you don't like you send back, and you only pay for the things you keep. So the service is free, the delivery is free. So that's the front end of the service, and the back end we're basically getting feedback from the customers on all the items that we send them. So let's say we send you 10 pieces, customer will buy 3, return 7, and give us feedback about why he's returning them. So things might be too small, or he doesn't like the color pink, or this is too tight. So we're taking that information, we're feeding it into an algorithm, and that algorithm is learning based off his feedback and his behavior, and is personalizing his next experience even further.
Yeah. Would you like some, sorry to interrupt, would you like some coffee, tea?
I think I'm fine, thank you, just water's good, thank you. And if you guys know, retail in the Middle East globally is going through a really rough time. E-commerce is a big part of that. A lot more people are buying online. And we as consumers, and you guys will probably have more to say about this, you guys are more comfortable buying online than spending time in the mall shopping. So, but even e-commerce has a gap in the service that's provided. A lot of times, like what you see online doesn't look the same once it arrives to your house. The fit's a little bit off. So you have to spend time to wait for a refund and send it back to a courier. So it's not a very personal experience. And that's kind of where we're filling the void. We're providing a very convenient service that's extremely personalized. Right now we're servicing Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Sharjah, focusing on men, and then we're piloting Saudi where we'll launch in January. So a bit about myself. So I was born in Syria. I grew up in the US. Most of my life I was in the US, graduated with both finance and accounting degrees, and then I worked for Accenture Consulting, so doing strategy consulting there. I was with them for about 3 years. And because I grew up in the US, I went to Syria back and forth a lot, but I didn't have a lot of people in my network that were similar to me. So I had an urge to visit the Middle East and see if there's a potential place that I could start my career. And I came to Dubai in 2010, I think. I was here for a month, for 2 weeks. I fell in love with the place. I sold all my things when I went back to the US. I quit my job. I moved back to Dubai 2 months later.
Did you have any idea what you wanted to do?
No. So, okay, long story short, I was supposed to open up the office for Accenture here. And because I was ignorant and I was American, I thought Dubai and Abu Dhabi were the same place. And the office was in Abu Dhabi. So when I moved here, I realized that I quit the job because I didn't want to live in Abu Dhabi. Because I moved across the world, I wanted to be in Dubai. And then I didn't have a job. I searched for maybe a month and a half and got a job at Shahub Group. If you guys are familiar with them, like luxury retailers. And that's where I got my retail experience. So I was with them for a few years. And then I got an offer to be a first hire for a startup consultancy in Dubai. And I was going to be the first hire. And I took the job because I wanted the experience of working for startups. 6 months later, they shut down. And I had a period of time where they shut down. It was summer and it was Ramadan. So nothing was happening, obviously.
So were you with Shahub or were you with the startup?
I was with the startup. So nothing was happening. I was looking for jobs. And because it was so slow and such a slow period, I started exploring opportunities of potential businesses that I would want to start. I was pitching TV shows, I was looking at getting a Subway franchise, I was just thinking crazy things. And then I realized that there was a huge gap in, first, like e-commerce for men back in 2015 was irrelevant. It was very small, nobody's paying attention to them, and I knew my friends hated shopping and didn't dress very nice. And I was somebody that always liked clothes, so they always came to me for advice. They'd drag me to the mall, make me help them pick out outfits. So at first there was a unique idea of potentially doing a service place, like a marketplace for stylists. And then the idea evolved. I found out about similar models in the US, and then Mr. Draper came about. Launched Mr. Draper in early 2016, raised money from friends and family, and all my personal savings went into the business. And here we are 3 years later.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So let's start with any questions that you guys might have.
I have a doubt.
Yeah, this guy's like the journalism major. He's got 16, so you guys need to take your turn.
Yeah, so I mean, I personally love your concept. It's
Thanks,
really
man.
good. But I had a doubt about what do you do with the products that are sent back to you by
Right.
the consumers?
So the idea is that you're not wearing the clothes and then sending them back. You're trying them on and then sending them back. So when they come back, they have to be in great condition with the barcode still on, the tags and everything. So we rotate them across our database. So if we sent you that shirt and it didn't work out for you, we would send it to him if he had a similar style.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like trying it out in the mall. I mean,
Exactly.
in the mall and fashion store.
Exactly. So that's the big problem, right? You go to the mall, you go to the fitting rooms after spending 20 minutes looking for parking and hundreds of shops. You finally go to the fitting room. You probably have like 5 or 10 things with you. You pick out 2, and then the rest are left in the in the fitting room. You buy the stuff and you walk out.
Yeah.
But then the person comes and he sees all these clothes in the fitting room. Nobody has any idea why you didn't end up buying those, and that's where we're collecting that data. We understand why you're not buying things. So from like a tech standpoint, the algorithm is picking up negative signals and positive signals. Positive signals, obviously, somebody buying something. Negative signal is he didn't buy it because it's pink. Or he didn't buy it because it was tight on his legs. So that's what the algorithm learns from, teaches itself, and then re-recommends.
Okay. And how do you feed this data back to, let's say, making it valuable for you guys as insights? Do you guys relay this information to the brands that you have on board to tell them that people are not liking a certain thing, or this is a problem with it? How do they take that feedback? Is it important to the brands?
Yeah, of course, yeah, it is. It's not necessarily something that we do actively. We do tell them that like certain products are not working out because of either price point or of the material or whatever it may be, but it's not something we actively do. We mainly use that data to teach our algorithm.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I want to ask you, what was the difference before starting out? Like, you have a perception that this is how things are going to work out.
Yeah.
And then what actually was like the major differences you faced that you thought, okay, maybe I'm going to do this, but you didn't end up doing that, and you ended up changing it in this way?
So yeah, it's a great question. In the beginning, we weren't very tech focused. We were just people that sent you clothes in a box, and the stylist was literally picking up clothes, feeling them, put them in ribbons, putting the outfit in the box, and sending it to the customer. When we started raising money, we realized, one of the things we learned is that it's not scalable. When you are doing 10 boxes every 3 days, that's not a problem. But when you start doing 100 boxes, that's a huge problem. So you have to scale that. So what we ended up doing is, instead of doing a manual process, we took everything online. The stylist makes a selection online, the information is sent to the warehouse, and then they pack it. So it allows the stylist to do obviously more boxes per stylist.
So can I ask you, what section of the society do you actually cater to, as in terms of economy?
So a really good question. That's an insightful question. Right now, we are catering to men between the ages of 27 to 40. So decent disposable income, mid-level through their careers, can afford the service because our price point is pretty high. But we are slowly bringing that down because of a reaction to how big the market is. So that market is niche, right? Because our price point is quite expensive. But now what we're doing is we're adding more brands on board at a lower price point, So the student that just graduated and going to his first job can afford our service.
How is that you ended up getting big brands like Tommy Hilfiger and Ralph Lauren?
Oh, yeah, okay, so Shelhoub obviously became our anchor brands because I had the connections and I knew them. And for a lot of these big brands, what they don't want is like losing control of how visuals look online or in the shop.
How the receipt,
Yeah.
basically.
So because we're putting in a box and we're not displaying anything online, that opened up a lot of doors, right? So Ralph Lauren came on board and Lacoste came on board and a couple of these mid-tier brands came on board. And then once you have those as your anchor brands, then a lot of the other brands, I won't mention names, want to position themselves next to those guys. So they started coming to us and saying, can we be, we're asking a bunch of questions. And then at the very end of it, we're saying, put in your credit card. I think about that like psychologically for a customer that may not know us and doesn't really buy online. And he's going through that experience. And what we did in the early days, we'd ask like 18 questions and then take him to the credit card. So what you saw is you'll have 100 people enter your website and then you have 2 people put in their credit cards. Because 18 questions, at one point or another, they're gonna drop off. They're gonna get tired of it. One of the growth hacks that we did was we took the 18 questions, we slimmed it down to 12, and then we broke them up. So we asked 6 questions up front, we introduced you to the stylist, we ask you to verify your card, then we ask you another 6 questions. That has like changed the cost of acquiring us like dramatically. I went like this. I can talk about more, but that's one major one.
And you guys focus a lot on retention and subscriptions. Is that how your entire model is based? Is it a monthly subscription that keeps coming, or is it a one-time purchase?
It's on demand. And in retention for this business model is like extremely important, more than e-commerce. And so we're super focused on it. And the way we do it, there's a lot of techniques that we use, but one of which is you use a service, you buy a pair of pants, the algorithm understands what matches those pants and sends you an automatic email within 2 months and says, hey, you remember those pants? These are like 5 shirts that go with it. Let us know if you want a box.
And how often do you keep changing your strategies? I mean, 3 years is a long time compared to the in terms of strategy making, right? So you wouldn't actually follow the same strategy throughout. So how often do you keep changing?
So strategy is like there's
business strategy.
Complete business strategy. We don't change that at all. Like we have the vision. We know what we're doing in that space, and that's like we're still following that, right? But there are tweaks to things that you do that you have to look at weekly. So this marketing funnel being an example. We look at that weekly. We have a dashboard. We look at what ads are working, why they're working, and then come up with a rollout. What like buttons are getting more conversions? We add more of those. So like we're always looking for ways to either increase basket size or decrease cost of acquisition. So that's something we look at weekly. The price point discussion that we were having earlier, that's a new strategy as of like late 2018, early 2019. We realized that our market is smaller and more niche, so we have to expand our price point to acquire a bigger customer base. And then there's always like these cool tools that we think about to roll out. One of which is giving a customer the opportunity to see his box before he gets it. So the other things are come like from customers who actually go through our entire process. They verify their credit card, and then they say, you know what, I don't want to use the service because I'd rather see what I'm going to get. So we have to build something for that. Or for retention, for example, we say like, here's like a jacket and a pair of pants you bought from us. Here's 5 shirts that go with it. We can send him that, show it to him. He gives us feedback on it, and then we send the box. So you reduce your returns, you increase your keep rate per box. So it's things like that. In terms of like overall strategy, like we know what we want to do in the next 3 years, and we don't see any reason why we may pivot from that.
Makes sense.
My most important question I feel is, what are your like maybe top 5 advices for startups by like 20-year-olds, and what should we do? Like, where did you go wrong and what we should not do?
I can sit here forever. I can't give you top 5, but I'll give you some things. Like I was talking about off camera earlier. It's like you guys are starting super young, right? So keep at it. Like no matter what happens, learn from your mistakes. Document everything. right? So you guys are doing modest wear online, if I understood correctly,
Yes, yes.
right? Like there's a lot that you can be documenting and understanding, like what ads are working, what copies are working, what pictures, what are customers saying, how do you get their feedback, and how do you apply it and rebuild it? Like my biggest, I think, my biggest piece of advice is to just keep going. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not the smartest person. I met so many smart people. It's the people that are the most persistent that end up being successful. And the fact that you're so young, experiment as much as possible. You have nothing to lose. Like your worst case scenario is you're going to be 10 times smarter than when you first started. That's your worst case scenario, right? No matter what happens.
I had a question with regards to your marketing specifically. So do you guys do something for your inbound marketing or educating the customers, or what's your top of the funnel strategy? How do you get people to know about you guys, or do you guys just directly go for the sale?
It's helping us do that. And then there's a relationship with the stylist. There's things that they'll tell us on their profile that they'll tell there's things they won't tell us on their profile that they'll tell their stylist. So a customer might fill out, he's a slim fit and he likes Tommy Hilfiger and Ralph Lauren, and he's a medium and a large, and he likes checkered shirts and he likes polka dot shirts. He doesn't like pink shirts. He might tell us that on his profile, but there's a conversation that can potentially happen between him and his stylist.
So there is a conversation.
It's up to the customer to decide. Like we ask them, do you want to talk to your stylist or you want to do everything online? So when they opt to talking to their stylist, they reveal more information. Like I'm going to a beach wedding. You can't get that as you're signing up, right? But we try to automate that as much as possible because it comes to scale, right? Like I was talking about the box thing earlier. Like one stylist can do 5 boxes if she's picking out everything manually, but she can do 15 if there's technology in the back end.
Exactly. All right, thank you so much for that. Now, drifting the conversation a bit towards the people who are here and the startups, I'd like to give the opportunity to some of the founders to introduce their startups and get some feedback, and possibly if you have some questions that you'd like answered related to startups, or you think that he can answer for you, then feel free to do that as well.
Do you want to do like a quick intro across everybody,
sure.
and then we'll do like 2 or 5 minute segments?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do a quick intro.
So I'm Abdul Majid. I'm at uni. I just completed my BBA course this year.
Okay.
And I'm the founder of Zeros. So it's a reward point system. That's for now. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Mohammed Siddiq. I'm a student of journalism and mass communication, 4 year.
No startup.
No startup.
You're just here for the journalist experience.
So I'm Nazrana. I'm doing fashion designing and I'm a fresher. And that's it.
Okay.
I'm Keisha. I'm also a fashion design student in my first year, so no startup yet.
Okay.
Rose, also a fashion design student, and no startup yet.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm Yusra, and I'm the co-founder of the Modest Look. Just graduated same class as Abdul Majid. We were entrepreneur students and ended up winning 3rd prize in Eureka. So that's how we're here.
My name is Bilal Shubandri. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Arca, a mobility service for daily commutes. And I've graduated, and this is the full-time gig now.
Arcab Mobility Services, and your name is Bilal, right?
Bilal.
Okay.
So I'm Taran. I'm also the co-founder of the Modest Look. I and Yusra co-founded it together, and we were in the same class and graduated at the same time.
Okay.
Right.
So let's start with like your business,
Okay.
where you're at.
So right now we are working on our pilot program and developing our final app. So we are trying to get as many as feedbacks from customers and brands on how they see our website, our application, and how we should cater to them. So we're working on that. Right now we are working with Abela and trying to get their feedbacks and getting customers' feedback. So we are doing small pilot runs with Modest Fashion. They're having their photo shoots and everyone. So we're taking their models and their photographers, and as they're spending time for them, we're giving the points and coupons depending upon that. So that on that basis, the whole thing will be working. And we are also working on a e-commerce platform where we are inviting other brands to put their stuff. And if you are shopping on that e-commerce platform and you're spending time there, you are also going to get rewarded on the on the basis of the time you spend there also. So it's not basically just physical stores you are getting the points. Even if you're spending time on our e-commerce website, you're going to earn points. So it's all basically just valuing your time right now. So that's how we're working. And
Do you feel like you validated the problem yet? Like,
yeah, we did surveys and we also did interviews with students.
okay.
We did a small interview like 2 days back with we went to Incubation Centre and we talked to like 15 to 20 people. We asked them how will they feel and they gave a pretty good response.
Yeah, but the people that you're selling is not the individual. You're selling the retailers. Let's call them, right?
Yeah.
The businesses.
Businesses.
Have you talked to anybody from that side?
Yeah, we have talked to like 15 brands right now. So
Okay.
they're all positive, but they need feedback from customers and how we'll be trafficking the customers to them, basically. So we are kind of stuck there. So it's like not everyone wants to go to a specific brand. So if this brand is coming on towards, so say this cafeteria is there and the cafeteria is there, but people want to go there and not here, but then people are earning points from here
Yeah.
and going there. So that's where we are facing a little bit difficulty. So we are working on that. And
So before doing the e-commerce bit, I would start with like making sure that
Yeah.
you're solving an actual problem. So you
Mhm.
talk to the retailers,
Mhm.
you get like maybe 5 or 10 of them on board, and then you talk to individuals and say, here's the people I have on board, right? And then you run a valid test to make sure that it makes sense for the
Okay.
retail, because these are the people that are going to be paying you at the end of the day, if I understood your model, right?
Okay.
So the points end up turning into something, right?
Mhm.
So let's say I go to Zara and I spend an hour there and I earn 50 points.
Mhm.
Those 50 points will turn into 50 dirhams, let's say,
Yeah, okay.
and Zara gives me 50 dirham discount.
Yeah, you can get Zara at 50 discount, or you can use it at a cafeteria, or else you can use the 50 dirhams to shop on our e-commerce website. So there you'll have everything you.
But why would a coffee shop accept the 50 dirhams that I earned at Zara?
Mm-hmm.
Why would a coffee shop accept the 50 dirhams I earned at Zara?
So that's where we're kind of stuck right now. So
Okay.
we have
So
to-
I think you need to spend a very dedicated and focused time to understand what the problem actually is that you're trying to fix
Okay.
before you move on to anything else,
Okay.
not an e-commerce platform, nothing.
Mhm.
Make sure you understand your problem very deeply.
Okay. So.
Yeah, so we're the modest look. We're an e-commerce platform. So the problem actually what I identified when in colleges, I was born brought up in the 70s, so all my life I wore abaya. When I came here, I was like, okay, how do you dress up? And I realized a lot of girls on Instagram relate to this problem, that they are, religiously modest, but then they are fashionable as well.
Right.
So, and it's not just religious, like for me, like I do wear modest clothing, but it's not just for religious reasons, for cultural reasons
Sure.
as well. So there's a lot of huge market for this, but not necessarily anyone based in this region clearly addressing the problem. And what I don't mean by this like modernista and the modest, but someone who's addressing problems for like college students or just people who are just in their young 20s and just
Sure.
preteens and stuff.
Sure.
So what we decided to do, our vision in the end is to get all these brands together and influencers together and basically have a platform where you can shop by your favorite influencer, because that's what we all end up doing. You go, you look at the influencer, you're like, oh, she bought this top from so-and-so brand, like Pull & Bear, tan from this, how did you style it, and how did she get 5 outfits out of this, and they were all modest. Because now when you go to the mall, you spend so much time and stuff, you're not able to find the same thing. So that's our end goal, but for now, what we realized after having a few meetings, that again, these big brands, they need like, you can say, validation in some form. So what we decided to do then is to realize some of these really big influencers who are based in Dubai, they have their own products here, which they are selling in boutiques and stuff. So we have got them on board now, and as well we have a small line of our own for just like cover-ups called kimonos or shrugs.
Right.
So because none of the other brands are really catering to that, and if they are, it's really high priced. So again, college students cannot buy that.
Right.
So that's what we're starting with right now. Partnering with influencers, their lines and our own line, and then once we get a good, you can say a validation, a good data and everything, and what worked for the customers, what did not, we're gonna go to the big brands again, back to them. So that's what we're doing right now.
So there's Modern Asia, which is huge,
Yes,
right?
Modern
And there's the
Asia is
modest.
Yeah.
But the Modern Asia, sorry, what's it called?
Modern Asia, the
Mo-
one Turkish.
The
Modern
Turkish
Asia,
one,
yeah,
$200 million
Modern
in
Asia,
turnover.
Yes.
And then there's the modest here, which is focused on luxury.
Yes.
What you're saying is you want to do somewhat similar with brands at a lower price point,
Yes.
right?
The ones
College
basically-
students and
yeah,
younger.
non brands in the malls.
Right, gotcha.
So, yeah.
Okay. which I think is a good approach. It's a different market. You're not going after the same market as the big guys, but nothing's going to stop them from bringing down the price point, right? So like you have to create other barriers of entry.
Yes.
Okay, so have you started generating any sales yet, or you're just building the product?
We just.
Where are you at?
Honestly, we just. I think so 2 days back, I put on our first, like, to have a pilot on our Instagram. We just put on our own line there. That's what we've done. So we just got our first customer yesterday.
No, bro.
Yeah,
Amazing.
So that was just
That's
like, it was
awesome.
actually in the evening. I hadn't opened our WhatsApp, but then because we have set up a business profile, so when I opened, there was a message there.
Great.
That's our first customer yesterday. So we're still just like, God, we have our website developed, everything's ready, but we haven't opened it to the public yet, unless like, everything is finalized and everything, because these are just small pilot tests we're running
Right.
to, validate everything that we're doing. So
That's amazing. So you're doing like an MVP, let's call it,
Yeah,
right? So it's like
basically,
Instagram, and then they can WhatsApp you to buy the products.
Yes, like we've set up business, and even there's actually a very well-known. I don't think I should like disclose the name. So that's for abayas in this place, and their platform's like Noon. So I spoke to that person also. So now suppose we have got a sample test with them. So we're gonna do a photo shoot. We put that up on our WhatsApp, not on our WhatsApp, on our Instagram, and then we see how people react to that. And then according to that, we're gonna work deals with them. It'll be short-term deals, but all this is just like pilot tests, because we realize for us to get big brands, they all need like proof.
Of
Because
course.
they're big brands, they don't want their name to get spoiled. And then to associate themselves with modest, they want to see that we're being fashionable at the same time modest, not just something religious.
Right.
So yeah.
So all these, I mean, what you can do is, I don't know this market as well, so take everything I see with a grain of salt, but I'm sure there's a lot of smaller brands that are available in the market that need access
We
to.
are doing that too.
So you don't have to buy anything, it can be all on consignment, you can start on a small scale. That's one idea, right? There's the other idea where you're talking about your own brands. So there's a huge push in the US right now, because what people are starting to realize is consumers are brand agnostic. They don't really care about brands.
Yes.
There's like luxury, and people care about those things. People
Yeah.
care about Gucci, and they want their Chanel bags. That's still
Yeah.
always going to be there. But the majority of consumers don't care about brands.
Yes.
So if you find a way to provide a great quality product,
We are doing that. The only reason we haven't gone full scale on that is, okay, so when we did like surveys and stuff, suppose Modernisa, one of the reasons people don't buy from Modernisa is because it's an e-commerce platform. No one has ever actually, first-time customer didn't go touch their products or whatever, so they don't know how their products are. So you were like hesitating to pay like $50 for a skirt which you have not touched, and then the whole shipping thing is going to take a long time.
yeah,
So that's why what we're doing is just focusing right now on small own manufacturing for like the thing we're manufacturing kimonos and hijabs right now.
yeah,
So kimonos is just a cover up. So even when I order, suppose from an online platform like Shein, where everyone knows the quality is not going to be the greatest, because they don't even claim that they're selling the greatest quality, I order cover ups because the reason is that, okay, even if it's not the greatest, it's just gonna a fall, just a style, fashionable. You wear it one time, it's over. So
right.
that's why we're not going full scale with that, but we will in the future once we have grabbed the customer's attention, you can say. So that's what we're doing.
So the first approach I was talking about is like more cash efficient. You're not taking it in cash. You're not requiring cash to bring on
Yes.
products. You can do it on consignment, sell it, and then pay the
Yeah,
supplier.
we are working on it.
But if you look at like the business model of that and like the way that you would want to scale, it's more difficult for profitability because your margins are lower.
Yes, the margins.
Yes.
That is
So-
another thing you have to always look at.
The second model is cash intensive because you need to buy the products,
Yes.
but your margins are much higher. And I think that's more directed towards where the future is heading. So like if you're catering to a unique customer base and creating your own products at a high margin, this is a direct to consumer place, DTC. So I think there's a huge opportunity for that here in the Middle East, in the age bracket that you're talking about.
Yes.
But keep testing, right? Like all these ideas that you have, keep testing them on small scale. Are you tracking them anywhere? Your tests?
Well, we're just like.
How are you documenting this test that you're doing right now?
Suppose for the surveys we did, for that we just had everything, surveys and stuff. Now suppose for this, what I'm seeing, on Instagram you can view insights and everything.
Yeah.
So you can actually view how many people send it to each other in DMs and everything. So for
Fine.
that right now, just keep tracking that, because it was just 2 days ago that I uploaded that. So that's what we have done till now. Like we haven't done anything else to like track. 'Cause
How
there's
can
nothing
you track?
else.
Let's talk about how you can actually model it out so that you can track it,
Mhm.
right? Like you can upload a bunch of products and you
Yes.
say, oh, I got 10 requests on WhatsApp.
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
but what if you don't get any requests?
Yeah,
Well, what does that mean?
true that. That
Right?
just means
I don't know. I'm asking.
Yeah.
What does it mean if you don't get any requests? Is it people are not interested in your products, or is it people nobody knows about you?
I think it's more like, okay, for right now, suppose when I upload these products, all my friends were like, oh, you know what, just we'll like first do a giveaway and let her talk about it.
There you go.
But the reason we haven't done that, I just wanted to see, I was like, let read it for a week. I just want to see how many people approach me without like, you know, pushing it to them. Because again, the thing is, my sample set is very limited. Like it's very limited. I just have maybe, you can say 5 pieces of one product, and you know, like I just want to know, like, will customer buy it with that, like an influencer talking about it, with just me circulating amongst the university, amongst the professors and stuff. And it didn't happen. Like I uploaded yesterday, same day itself, this professor contacted me, and it's not like, you know, she knows me, it's not a friend asking
Right.
me. And then she was like, can I buy one? I was like, yeah, sure, like it's for sale. And she was like, give me some time, and the next day she made a purchase. So I was like, okay, this week I'm gonna let it be, and we haven't even put the prices on Instagram because I want to see people are gonna approach you without the prices, because you know price plays a factor, like psychological factor. We have put free delivery there because you know we can provide that ourselves.
Sure.
But that's what we have done. And now after 1 week, I have actually spoken to one of the influencers we've signed. I was like, can you upload it and you know, choose anyone you like, and you can make an IGTV video out of it, and then I'll see what's the difference then of my customers
There you go.
approaching me.
Exactly.
So that's how I'm like doing. And then there's other things like tags on Instagram. So the first day I uploaded, I didn't put many tags you can say on the post, but yesterday, like there are apps, you know, where you can have those trending tags, you just put them and then you see the difference of
Sure.
how many profile visits on Instagram.
Sure. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's how we're like just
And
trying
like
to-
when you the way you're doing marketing, influencers, and more organic stuff, that's great, right? Let's gauge the results from that.
And then again, I have to keep influencers involved because I said the long vision is shop by influence. Like that's one of our main features, you know,
Yeah,
shop
yeah.
by your favorite influencer.
Well, we're talking about 3 or 4 different
Yes,
things. You
yes,
make
yes.
sure you focus.
Yes.
Like this model is Boutique Cat. Have you heard of Boutique Cat in
Yes,
Kuwait?
Boutique Cat, yeah, that
It's the
has-
same model that you're talking about.
Yes, yes.
So it's a great model, but make the decision about which way you want to go. Do you want to be e-commerce? Do you want to be that? Do you want to be your own brand? Do you want to get other brands on board? You see like how like the different
yes,
like
yes,
strategies?
Yeah.
You have to focus on
Yeah.
which one that you want to do and just test that,
Yes.
right? Don't like spray and pray.
Yeah.
Focus your strategy and then like test those strategies, see what works and what doesn't, and then make the decision to go in one direction or another. And don't be afraid to spend 100 dirhams on Instagram and Facebook ads,
Yes, yes,
just to
yeah.
like gauge,
Yeah.
but just make sure that you're ready. Like you don't want to spend 100 dirhams and have 3 products in your
Yes.
inventory.
That's the only reason I haven't done all like out there, because I'm just because it's circulating enough in the universities itself. I feel like okay, you know, I want to see what's happening.
Yeah.
Because again, how you said, if I'm not ready, I don't have the big inventory or something. So and then the thing is, I think which where my products are getting manufactured is in Saudi, where my mom lives, because she's responsible for like basically choosing the design, knowing the best material and everything. So you know, even if I have an order and if it takes 2 weeks to come from there, I don't want that to happen. Like, you know, for the first time customer.
Right. You can do it in there, by the way. Like you do it.
Yeah, and then the thing is, I'm still trying to figure out places here because
Right.
I don't know the places here at all. I just came
Okay.
here 2 years back, trying to figure that out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's, this is awesome. Like all of you, by the way. But like it's cool that you guys are already doing this.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. So my name is Bilal Shamandri. I'm the co-founder of Arka. Essentially, the problem that we're trying to solve is for daily commutes. On one hand, you have the public transportation, which is quite good, but sometimes it's quite time-consuming and congested, especially during peak hours. On the other hand, you have private transportation, you know, Ubers and Careens and taxis, which are quite expensive for daily use. So what we do is we create these communities where people walk towards a common point, they get picked up by a premium van, and they get to their destination without any stops in between. So with our app, people can track their vehicle's live location, set their schedule for the week, for the month, and use Wi-Fi while they're on the go. So currently we have about 40 routes that are open, and you know, people are going to work every day in Jebel Ali, Satwa, etc. And we're working with the Dubai Taxi Corporation to get premium Wi-Fi enabled vans for corporate transportation. So staff transportation, employee transportation with digitized dashboards to track, you know, attendance, to see employees, usage statistics, how much they've been using the transportation, and to really digitize and improve a very old and existing kind of saturated market.
Yeah.
And there's nobody currently who's known as the market leader for, you know, staff transportation, employee transportation, or personal commutes. What we're trying to do is, you know, be that name in Dubai and the Middle East. And yeah.
How is this different from the Egyptian ones. What are they called?
Swivel.
Swivel.
Swivel, yeah. So essentially what Swivel is doing is digitizing public transportation. In Egypt, there's almost non-existent network of public transportation. So what they're doing is sort of building that infrastructure. And what we do is we connect different communities through our algorithm. So basically, let's say you live in the GLT area. You can either choose to walk towards a common point, which we plot, or you can choose to get picked up near your house. And we have direct stops to the next community. It's not a bus stop that stops in every location. It goes community to community.
Right.
And this is for more targeted towards people who go to work every day. It's not the general public.
Right.
But scheduled route, fixed timings, and we take the best of public transport and the best of private transport and combine that together.
And other than the UAE, is there a need for this in Saudi?
Yes.
And Egypt?
Egypt is very competitive. So there's Uber bus there, there's Kareem bus, there's Swivel there, but Saudi is quite undertapped. And we haven't really gone into outside our own backyard because we want to perfect the model here.
Sure.
We want to make sure we reach at least 20 to 30,000 trips before we even think about expanding. But we have some advisors and angel investors who have advised us about the Saudi market.
Yeah.
And they have connections there with transport companies, and the problem is kind of quite pervasive because there are areas in a lot of areas in Dubai and in Saudi where either there's a really overcrowded public transportation where people have to wait for 5 different buses or 3 trains, and they have to change a bus and take a taxi to get to their destination. Or there's areas where there's a complete transportation desert where there's nothing you can find. So we sort of crowdsource the data from the people to try and get them to vote for the routes that they want to have live, and the more votes that the routes get, the faster it goes live.
So when I mentioned Egypt, you said there's too much competition there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the reason that you're not going into Egypt because you fear the competition, or you want to perfect the model here?
No, we want to perfect the model here. And to be honest, we haven't really gone deep into thinking about other markets. So I'm sure if we do an initial study, if we have experts who are located there, we can get some more insights on what exactly is the niche we can target. Do we compete with them? Do we start a different model? Do we do what we're doing here? And
have you graduated yet?
Yes.
Okay, so you're full time on this.
Yeah, full time.
Okay. Because your time is limited.
Yeah.
For Saudi, right?
Yeah.
You can go there, scale quickly. So you raise a bunch of money now. You get to your 50,000 rights here. You go to Saudi, you scale quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Then the big boys are coming after you.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to move quick. If you've already figured that out, they'll probably take a piece of it or just take you all. And they'll probably just acquire you, right?
Yeah.
Or you can sit here and dilly-dally around and they'll enter Saudi first, and then you have a much higher, bigger hill to climb.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
See, so regarding Saudi, there's 2 approaches. One is if there's existing transportation providers there, we can give them our platform, we can give them our model, and we can sort of go half and half, and you guys manage the operations, we manage the technology, and sort of like a franchise model.
Yeah.
Which is a fast way to do it. It's a good way to scale, and they're going to invest money to make this work. But we may lose some control over, not being able to have an oversight about how the operations are working, or not being able to directly be involved with the business. What we would prefer to do is to have some members of our team, once we scale the team here, to who really have the same vision as we do and are not in it just for the money.
Right.
But they want to do this for the next 5 to 10 years and not just look for a quick exit to be bought out by another startup or technology company, but no, really want to solve the problem for millions of people. And we need to look for someone who can represent us there and build a team for us there. But yeah, I agree with you. We have to do it quickly.
What's the next step?
So what we want to do is use the DTC collaboration to first of all scale across Dubai, capture the illegal transport providers that are here and sort of try to put them on a standardized platform.
Right.
And then think about intercity in Abu Dhabi as well and Sharjah because there's a lot of.
Do you have cash?
Yes. So,
Okay.
but not like loads. We have maybe like 150, 200K just from angels and
Dollars?
Yeah.
Okay. So, how fast are you going to do the next part of your strategy, to execute on the next part of the strategy?
So November 15th, we are gonna officially launch with the Dubai Taxi Corporation.
Right.
And we wanna also target, we're going in meetings with businesses, trying to make calls every day to get, sort of consistent leads lined up for a constant revenue source for our business leads, for our business segment. At the same time, the approach that we want to do with the individuals is to go to these existing sort of drivers or whatever it is, and to try to see how we can either buy out all of them or to try to furiously compete with them in terms of quality. So if you give a better service, if you provide premium vans, direct routes, comfortable vehicles approved by a government, and transparent pricing, then people are going to come to you.
Right.
So what we want to do is build a product that people will love. And then once we have that figured out, then scale aggressively.
This is an app, right?
Yeah.
And the people that you think that are going to use this have smartphones?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. I don't know your model as well as you do. You know it better than I do. I know the space is
Very competitive.
hot
Yeah.
and competitive.
Yeah.
So if you want to, make a name for yourself in it, you have to move quickly.
Yeah.
Not phone calling and waiting for people. You just got to make it happen.
Yeah.
And then you got to go on to your next market. And then you got to go east. You got to go to Pakistan and India. Egypt might be too competitive, like you said, but you might want to go eastwards.
Yeah.
Think about these places where there's not as much competition and there's a lot more the need
Yeah.
potential. Just an idea. Are you raising money?
Not actively. Maybe in.
Always
maybe
be raising money.
Okay.
Always be talking to investors. Because you don't want to wait till like you're 4 months away from running out of cash and then start. Because whatever plans that you have in place will slow down. You might have a co-founder and a team, and they really believe in you and they believe in the project. But once money stops coming into their bank, that slowly starts to dwindle down.
Yeah.
Right. So always be talking to investors. Are you guys raising money?
No, not actually.
Why
We
not?
haven't just been doing it. This is actually one question I was going to ask you right now when you asked him. We don't know how to go on about the money. We've just been applying to competitions to win those, like hackathons and stuff, but
Right.
we haven't. We've just thought like for now it's going to be your family.
What year are you guys in?
We finished. We just graduated.
Okay, you should be talking to investors. So look up who the VCs are, start talking to them. You're gonna get kicked out of the room, but that's gonna be a good thing for you because you're gonna understand why or why not they like your business model, right? Well, first you have to figure out what your business model is. That you guys are still trying to figure that out. Once you do, you have to start raising money to execute on it. There's a lot of money available in the region. It's not easy to get, but there's a lot of it. And people would be interested in your space. So start getting the practice. So figure out your strategy, put your financial model together, put your pitch deck together, start talking to everybody that you think might be interested in investing. Don't talk to the best guys first. Talk to your uncle who's got $30,000 in the bank that he wants to put somewhere. Talk to that guy. Then you can get feedback from him. And he's going to tell you this sucks. And then you're going to talk to the next guy who's your cousin who's got $10,000. He's going to say, oh, I'm interested. You're going to figure out what that process is like. Then you're going to start getting more comfortable. You're going to understand that it's become a script, what you're going to say. It's going to be memorized. It's going to be ingrained in your brain. You're going to start saying it to everybody. Then one day you're going to find that person who's going to be like, this is exactly what I've been looking for. But start now. Figure out your model, financial model. So model as in like business model.
Yeah.
Financial model, where your revenue is going to go based off what you figured out in your business strategy. Then pitch deck, presenting your business, 10 slides, 12 slides. If you guys need help, like just email me. And start talking to people. Anybody with startups.
How did you manage your technology and development team? Is it local? Is it outsourced? Is it
So what I found, I've tried a lot of different things, but the best thing is you have an incredible person next to you on the ground, and then you freelance or you outsource everything else. But you have somebody managing everything on the ground next to you who understands tech. If you don't understand tech, don't try to manage it. If you don't understand marketing, don't try to manage it.
And did you guys outsource it to an agency, or do you guys like set up a business somewhere else, like in India or Pakistan? Or?
Upwork, you know Upwork?
Yeah.
We use that a lot.
Yeah.
Like our tech team right now is our CTO, is like a machine learning expert. 2 freelancers in Egypt, 1 in Uzbekistan.
They work full time or project based?
Yeah.
Full time.
Yeah. So cost effective and like managed by somebody that knows what they're doing and knows that these guys know what they're doing.
What
Are you a
issue
tech
we
guy?
faced with sorry?
Are you a tech guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did electronics and telecommunication and worked as a cloud development engineer before,
Okay.
but not like really hands-on into development and stuff. More on the maybe I would say like IoT and electronics and that side of things. But yeah, we have a web developer here who's not like really CTO kind of guy, but we are on the lookout for a person who can handle the role of like a senior leadership dev and manage either an external team or hire an in-house team.
To get that guy that you're going to give equity and a low salary to, you have to be very clear about your vision and your execution. That's your job as a CEO.
Awesome. Right, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for all of your insights, advice, and sharing your story. And we really appreciate it. And
thank you guys so much for having me. And best of luck to all of you.
Thank you.
And I think you guys have my email, so I try to help where I can.
Right, awesome.
Thank you guys. That's it, I'll just leave.
No, we have a